By now, even the most brainwashed of the sheeple realized something is very wrong with their government. Govern equals control, ment equals mind. It is also clear that the attempt to use a fake pandemic to impose martial law is backfiring, as it has provided a perfect cover for military and agency white hats to hunt down the Satanists who hijacked Western governments. See lists of coronavirus infected politicians and celebrities in the United States, England, France, and more. Over 70% of them are Jews. An FSB source noted. He is almost right, but they are not Jews, they are Satanists. Also, they are not being infected by the provably fake virus. Instead, they are being arrested and/or executed. If you do still think this pandemic is real, go visit a hospital and see for yourself that it is not. Or take note of the fact the president of Tanzania sent samples from fruit, goats, and other random things, and they all tested positive for this so-called. People who still have a hard time wrapping their heads around the fact that Satan worshippers took control of the West, need to look at a few recent news items that prove it is true. For example, the people of Israel, for some unfathomable reason, have yet again made Satanist Benjamin Netanyahu their prime minister. One of the first things he did was call for children to be microchipped with Mark of the Beast identifiers. Last week Netanyahu said, "I spoke with our heads of technology in order to find measures Israel is good at, such as sensors. For instance, every person, every kid, I want it on kids first, would have a sensor that would sound an alarm when you get too close, like the ones on cars." Then you have the US Congress passing a bill with a satanic number 6666 calling for government goons to forcibly enter people's houses, test people for the fake coronavirus, and take their kids away if they test positive. You can't make this stuff up. We are also getting mind-blowing intelligence sent to us about the satanic ruling Western bloodlines who have been staging world wars and other horrific events as part of their plan for total world conquest. Although there may seem to be a stalemate on the surface as the battle for planet Earth rages on, something huge is coming, multiple US government-linked sources agree. The secret space program is about to be unveiled, NSA sources say. For their part, NASA sources say some sort of anomaly is affecting the very fabric of reality. The US military is also now in full wartime mode with over 1 million reservists being called up. As a result, the list of missing celebrities, billionaires, and politicians keeps growing as a massive purge of Satanists continues. As the real criminals are being rounded up, the bankruptcy of the US corporation is now leading to the mass release of mostly nonviolent offenders. While many law and order advocates are raising alarm bells, the fact is the US has been operating a massive prison slave labor gulag. Americans are 20 times more likely to end up in jail than Chinese. For example, an African American friend says her brother was jailed simply because his hair tested positive for marijuana. This is but one of countless examples of the ruling cabal using any pretext to gather up prison slave labor. A colleague in Singapore has seen US bonds backed by prison slave labor being sold to investors in the Far East. Let that sink in. The US government has been selling slave labor-backed bonds to the Chinese. The bankruptcy of the corporation is now shutting down this gulag. Only the truly dangerous criminals need to be kept in jail in the present circumstances. Maybe setting up a system of gang-controlled prison reserves might be the way to go forward on this? The sheeple meanwhile, hunkering down in their homes, are very slowly beginning to realize their current government is composed of criminals and liars. Many traditional news outlets are now waking up to this reality. The New York Post, for example, is reporting that Bill Gates may have created the coronavirus in order to microchip people. The NSA is saying the same thing, as crazy as it sounds. The vaccine industry is being busted big time, and people will be horrified when they learn what trusted medical officers have been doing to them. The rabbit hole runs deep, and there can be no doubt a family mafia has been running the Western world like a giant slave ranch for thousands of years going back to Babylon. The Russians have been hysterically attacked because they were able to pinpoint the leadership of this mafia. The photographic evidence below, for example, is just part of a massive proof that shows Adolf Hitler's children have been running much of the Western world since World War II ended. The fall of Babylonian debt slavery in the United States is fully underway. A critical mass of about 30% of Americans are not paying auto loans, student loans, rent, mortgages, corporate loans, etc. This makes it a mathematical certainty that the Babylonian debt slavery system is insolvent and collapsing. The fact that the U.S. Treasury has started handing out money, not debt certificates, directly to the people is another sign the regime of debt slavery is ending. There has also been a massive takedown of pedophiles. Pentagon sources say. It appears that the final batch of adrenochrome may have been spiked with potent coronavirus to kill the bloodthirsty cabal who drink this stuff, while the source, namely children trafficked, tortured, or bred for this evil purpose, have been liberated from tunnels. For those of you who still cannot wrap your minds around this, the United States was taken over by a group of Satanists who, among other things, tortured children in order to extract a type of high-inducing adrenaline known as adrenochrome. Here is what Mark Zuckerberg, Rockefeller, had to say about this. Although many humans find participating in and observing sexual congress to be both pleasurable and fulfilling, I sometimes find it challenging to observe the subsequent removal of adrenochrome from the smaller participants as illustrated in the photograph below. Ingesting the adrenochrome, however, is as enjoyable a human activity as any I have yet engaged in. Notice he uses phrases like many humans find and a human activity, as if he himself is not human. These monsters are all being hunted down and killed and, if you pay attention, a huge swath of celebrities, billionaires, and politicians, etc. have vanished from public view and will never be seen again. If Zuckerberg and his ilk are still alive, they will not be for much longer. Pentagon sources say the USNS hospital ship Comfort is leaving New York City as arrests of the Satanists there are ending. However, its sister ship USNS Mercy may take longer in LA because of the large number of paidovers in Hollywood. We are now starting to get photographs of the abused children from white hat sources in LA and New York. We cannot verify when these pictures were taken, but multiple, credible sources confirm thousands of children were rescued from cages at underground bases.